Will the House please come to order and members kindly take their seats? Good afternoon. The devotional today will be led by Kenneth Kiddo from the Vermont Humanities. Welcome.
I have new reading glasses and the focal length is not correct. I'm going back to my progressives. Thank you. It is such an honor to be invited here to contribute to my state on behalf of Vermont Humanities. I, invited here, invite you to think back to you as a child who for the first time realized you had something to bring to the table. And someone said, "Thank you. I needed this. I needed you." Their life was better for what you had done, and so your life was better too. When was that? What did you do? For me, it was wild strawberries on a well-drained hillside facing south. Just beyond the site of our house, I found the miracle of life of strawberries, wild, abundant, so very small. It was late in the spring. My older brother was in the hospital. I didn't know then, but it was terminal. There'd been nothing I could do, not then. I was alone on that hillside. I searched and grazed, and then cradled in my palm, I brought maybe 30 wild strawberries down the hill, down the driveway, up the walkway to my mom. That day in May, I put tiny strawberries into a dessert bowl, mixed them with whipped cream, and brought them to my mother, served with a tiny spoon. And so, Mom felt better too. I have a small passage from my book I wanted to share about a Vermont Thanksgiving that was more about venison than turkey. Gramps saved thick steaks from the 2 bucks hanging longest, meaning his and Ansel's. And when everything was cleaned up, they threw them on the grill. We brought long planks from the shed and put them on sawhorses in the kitchen for a long table. Ansel's daughter and her family joined us too, and we were all just elbow to elbow, and Ansel said some prayer about provisioning our own pantries from the land, and we made room for one another and another chair when Mom got home from Westview bringing flowers. When we served up the apple pie, the apples being from our trees, Graham topped the whipped cream with a sprinkle of roasted beech nuts I'd gathered myself. What if our primary, uncomplicated goal were to become that everyone had a right to be known, to think of themselves in terms of what they bring to the table? I need you, and you need me, for everyone. Thank you.
Members, we have 8 House bills for introduction today. The first is House Bill 142, which is an act relating to requiring inspection of wastewater systems, introduced by Representative Austin of Colchester. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
H 142, an act relating to requiring inspection of wastewater systems.
Now the bill has been read the first time and is referred to the Committee on the Environment. Next is House Bill 143, which is an act relating to establishing a support service program for individuals who are deafblind, introduced by Representative Wood of Waterbury. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
H 143, an act relating to establishing a support service program for individuals who are deafblind.
Now the bill has been read the first time and is referred to the Committee on Human Services. House Bill 144 is an act relating to enhancing food allergen awareness in food service establishments, introduced by Representative Minier of South Burlington and others. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
H 144, an act relating to enhancing food allergen awareness in food service establishments.
Now the bill has been read the first time and is referred to the Committee on Human Services. House Bill 145 is an act relating to the disruption of proceedings governed by Vermont's open meeting law, introduced by Representative Harrison of Chittenden. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
H 145, an act relating to the disruption of proceedings governed by Vermont's open meeting law.
Now the bill has been read the first time and is referred to the Committee on Government Operations and Military Affairs. Next is House Bill 146, which is an act relating to administration and enforcement of agricultural water quality requirements in the state, introduced by Representative Sheldon of Middlebury. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
H 146, an act relating to administration and enforcement of agricultural water quality requirements in the state.
Now the bill has been read the first time and is referred to the Committee on Environment. Next is House Bill 147, which is an act relating to establishing the Recreational Trails Compensation Study Committee, introduced by Representative Marcotte of Coventry and others. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
H 147, an act relating to establishing the Recreational Trails Compensation Study Committee.
Now the bill has been read the first time and is referred to the Committee on Environment. House Bill 148 is an act relating to creating a statewide school district, introduced by Representative Rachelson of Burlington. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
H 148, an act relating to creating a statewide school district.
Now the bill has been read the first time and is referred to the Committee on Education. Finally, House Bill 149 is an act relating to expanding equal pay protections, introduced by Representative Christie and others. Please listen to the first reading of the bill.
H 149, an act relating to expanding equal pay protections.
Now the bill has been read the first time and is referred to the Committee on General and Housing. Members, we have a joint Senate resolution to take up at this time. JRS 10 is a joint resolution relating to weekend adjournment on February 7th, 2025. It was offered by Senator Baruth and was read and adopted on the part of the Senate. Please listen to the reading of the resolution.
Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives that when the two houses adjourn on Friday, February 7th, 2025, it be to meet again no later than Tuesday, February 11th, 2025.
Now you have heard the reading of the resolution, and the question is, shall the House adopt the resolution in concurrence? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and the resolution is adopted in concurrence. Are there any announcements? Member from Bristol.
Madam Speaker, I rise to acknowledge the arrival of a sibling comrade in mirth making and in troublemaking to the planet. I don't know how many years ago, but I have loved being his committee mate and colleague and friend, and would like to celebrate the birthday of the member from Burlington.
Happy birthday, member. Member from Norwich.
Madam Speaker, there are some people who leave you proud to be a human being, and Ken Caddo, a neighbor from my hometown of Norwich, is one of them. His ability to listen, his genuine curiosity, and his appreciation for others, his unique ability to engage communities to lift up our young people. These abilities humble me every day, and I've known him for a long time. Ken is the author of the book Gather, which is about a young man who is doing his very best with pride and dignity with the hand he was dealt. In the book, we also see how a community can gather around a young person, sometimes unevenly, but sometimes with success. This book, Gather, was chosen by Vermont Humanities as their 2024-25 Vermont Reads book. Over 6,500 copies have already been distributed in 91 different Vermont towns for 121 already scheduled community events. In places that are much less important than Vermont, it has garnered critical and popular acclaim as a National Book Award finalist, a Michael Prince Honor Book, and most recently as the winner of the Kirkus Prize for Young Adult Literature. I have a copy if anyone would like to borrow. In fact, I have 6 because some of them are still with Ken waiting for notes. On his way to becoming a nationally recognized author, Ken spent 4 years in the Navy, and he ran a bookstore, a general store on Black Island, before fortunately coming to his senses and moving to Vermont, where he completed an oral history on deer hunting before he became an educator. He's currently co-principal of Oxbow High School in Bradford, and in his years as an educator, Ken has made the community his classroom in ways that many people can only imagine. But he's also shown young people that they matter in ways that they could not imagine themselves. Ken is joined in the chamber today by many members of the staff of Vermont Humanities up in the balcony. Please reach out to Vermont Humanities if you want more information on how to engage your own constituents. And if I've given my copy away, you can ask Vermont Humanities for your own personal copy, and they'd be happy to provide you with copies of the book for local projects in your own communities. In addition, please, I hope that's okay. In addition, please join us tonight at Farmers Night at 7:30 to hear more from Ken, including to hear him read more passages from this very important and absolutely wonderful book. So please join me in welcoming Ken Caddo and Vermont Humanities.
Will the guest of the member from Norwich please rise and be recognized? Member from Pollitt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome and recognize one of my constituents that has traveled to the State House today from Middletown Springs. I got the chance to chat and spend a few minutes during lunch. Many of you know this person as he occupied seat 28 the last biennium. Please join me in welcoming former House member Robin Chestnut Tangerman back to the People's House.
Will the former member please rise and be recognized? Member from Essex.
Madam Speaker, we have another very special visitor today in the gallery. The former member from Shelburne is in the gallery, and she was on my committee, and I miss her presence in committee dearly, and we all miss her expertise in the House. Please help me welcome Jessica Brumstead back to the House.
Will the former member please rise and be recognized? Member from Rutland City.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Tonight, you are all invited to have dinner with state employees, discuss the issues affecting them and your district. The topic will be public safety and state's attorney's office staffing. It will be held at 5:15 at the VSCA office on 150 South in Montpelier. All are welcome. Thank you.
Member from Burlington.
Madam Speaker, tonight from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Hugo's, there will be a social for lawmakers hosted by the Vermont chapter of Future Caucus. As Representative Toof said, we don't check IDs at the door. This is geared towards Gen Z and millennial lawmakers, but yes, come anyway.
Member from Dover.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of Representative Hango, Stone, and Pinsno, I want to invite members to a legislative reception in the Cedar Creek Room tomorrow, Thursday, February 6th from 4 to 6 p.m. This is an opportunity for us to meet and engage with leadership of the Vermont National Guard, including Adjutant General Knight and Deputy Adjutant General Harder, as well as other guests. Members may not know, but Vermont is the only state that elects its adjutant general. And with that election approaching next year, it's really important that members stay informed about the needs and priorities of our Guard members. Our duty to elect their leadership comes with the obligation to understand their work so that we can support them effectively. Please join us for an informative evening where we can discuss their contributions to our state and how we can best serve them.
Member from Virgins.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Adding to the list of guests who are joining us in the gallery, we have representatives from the Vermont Lodging Association, or VLA. VLA is the only statewide nonprofit organization dedicated solely to supporting the Vermont licensed lodging industry. VLA is the voice of the lodging in Vermont. Mission-driven, their sole purpose is to help Vermont lodging properties succeed through advocacy, education, resourcing, and networking to help their hardworking members successfully continue their work as the gateway to welcoming visitors to our Green Mountain state. Welcoming them to escape, to recreate, relax, and possibly even relocate to the place we call home. Vermont's tourism economy employs over 31,000 Vermonters and contributes 9.3% towards Vermont's GDP, generating more than $282 million in state and local taxes. The lodging sector alone contributes revenue of $1.4 billion annually to further impact Vermont tourism and visitor spending. Their members are our neighbors, some of whom are actually friends of mine from my community. Their hotels, their hostels, their cabins, farm stays, bed and breakfast, inns, and resorts power our economy through employment, tax generation, and visitor spending in our communities. I ask that the body please join me in welcoming the leadership team from the Vermont Lodging Association.
Will the guest and the member from Virgins please rise and be recognized? Are there any further announcements, member Coventry?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to remind everyone tonight that the Associated General Contractors of Vermont has invited us to join them at their facility on 1 Grave Street from 5 to 7 p.m. We'll get to speak directly with AGC members and their affiliates about home building in Vermont and see an on-site demo. They'll be providing pizza, wings, and beverages, and all are invited. Thank you.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none. Orders of the day. Members, we have one bill on our action calendar today. House Bill 34 is an act relating to workforce leadership in Vermont. The bill was referred to the Committee on Commerce and Economic Development, which recommends that the bill ought to pass. The member from Jericho, Representative Granning, will speak for the committee. Please listen to the second reading of the bill.
H 34, an act relating to workforce leadership in Vermont.
Member from Jericho.
Madam Speaker, H 34 can be found on the House Commerce and Economic Development Committee's webpage. It is an act relating to workforce in Vermont, and it clearly defines the difference in the job of the Commissioner of Labor and the Executive Director of the Office of Workforce Strategy and Development, while requiring them to work together to lead workforce education and employment and training in Vermont. Last session, in Act 146 of 2024, we created the new position of the Executive Director of the Office of Workforce Strategy and Development. As a reminder to the body, we did this for no additional cost by repurposing positions from the Department of Labor. We were unable, however, to clearly define the job and separate the duties that had been assigned in our statutes to the Commissioner of Labor. In the off session, the Special Oversight Committee of Workforce Expansion and Development, a group made up of a representative, a senator, the Commissioner of Labor, the State Director of Workforce Development, and the Governor's Director of Policy Development and Legislative Affairs, worked with our Legislative Council and other key members of Vermont's workforce development community on this bill. H34 is necessary to separate and clarify the duties between the Commissioner of Labor and the newly created position of Executive Director of the Office of Workforce Strategy and Development, because there is often overlap in the area of workforce development at the state and federal level. It seemed appropriate to match the federal terminology, which causes a little bit of confusion when reading the bill. I will now take you through the bill. Section 1, 10 VSA 540 is amended to define that the co-leaders of workforce education, employment, and training in Vermont are the Commissioner of Labor and the Executive Director of the Office of Workforce Strategy and Development. Specifically, that the two positions must work together to coordinate the state's workforce system. The section then goes on, pages 2 to the top of page 7, to clarify the Commissioner of Labor's responsibilities, including the responsibility for the Federal Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, coordinating and administering the Department of Labor's workforce education and employment and training programs, and supporting businesses to reduce employee layoffs and business closures, also establishing job centers across the state, and maintaining an electronic job board. At the top of page 7, the role of the Executive Director of the Office of Workforce Strategy is explained. As a member of the Governor's Cabinet, this new role will, among other tasks, ensure an integrated system of workforce education and training coordinates across public and private sectors, develop a comprehensive workforce strategy, and ensure that the State Workforce Development Board is carrying out its duties and responsibilities. In addition, the Executive Director shall issue a comprehensive workforce report biennially that includes not only an evaluation of the accomplishments of the state workforce system, but also looks to the priorities for future workforce development and to where investments are necessary. The bill goes into effect July 1, 2025. The committee heard from the Executive Director of Advance Vermont, the representative from Coventry, the Executive Director of the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation, Commissioner of the Vermont Department of Labor, the Executive Director of Workforce Strategy and Development, the Executive Director of the Vermont Sustainable Jobs Fund, Vermont Chamber of Commerce, the Vermont Ski Areas Association, the Director of Workforce Development from the Department of Labor, Legislative Council, the Deputy Commissioner of the Vermont Department of Labor, and the Senator from Woodstock. The House Commerce and Economic Development Committee, is that our name? Voted favorably 11-0-0 and requests your support of this bill.
The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for the question? Yes, member from Coventry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just would like to report to the body some changes that were made previous to this bill, which the member from Jericho just reported, was that we created the Office of Workforce, a Director of Workforce Strategy and Development. I'm pleased to say that we do have that new Executive Director on board already. We didn't really expect someone to be on board yet, but they were hired at the beginning of January and have hit the ground running, which is really great. We've also, the State Workforce Development Board was dissolved July 1 of this last year. The new board, so the old board had 63 members. So we reduced that down to 27. That board has now been reconstituted as well, although the board hasn't had their first meeting yet. So we're on the right track. I think we're really moving forward. It's taken us a few years to get there, but I think this is going to make a real big difference for the state of Vermont and our workforce development. Thank you.
The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and third reading is ordered. Members, that completes the orders of the day. Are there any announcements? Member from Fairhaven.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Vermont Realtors Association is hosting a reception today in the cafeteria from 4 to 6 p.m. Stop by, say hello to their members, and enjoy some refreshments.
Are there any further announcements? Member from Brattleboro.
Madam Speaker, your House Ways and Means Committee is hosting a 4-part training on Vermont's tax system, starting with principles of high quality tax system on Fridays at noon, starting this Friday at noon in room 11. Would love for folks to join us.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing, member from Williston.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Last minute announcement, realizing today is Wednesday, tomorrow's Thursday. The Women's Caucus will be meeting at noon in room 11. Excited about that. And we've invited a group of advocates who work on really vital, support vital areas in our state. And they will be talking to us about their concerns regarding federal changes, federal funding being in jeopardy, and things that we may need to look out for concerning women and our most vulnerable and marginalized populations.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none, member from St. Albans Town, can you please offer us a motion to adjourn until Thursday, February 6th at 3 p.m.?
Madam Speaker, I make a motion this body stands in adjournment until Thursday, February 6th at 3 p.m.
You have heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? If so, all those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and this body stands in adjournment until tomorrow at 3 p.m.